Hello, Neil.
Oh, hello.
How are you doing?
Hi, okay, thank you.
Well, thanks for
Good.
inviting us down to Lewes.
Pleasure.
Normally when we come to Lewes, we go to Glyndebourne, but today we're not. So why have we come to Lewes?
Well, today I've got this with me, which is not my flute case, because if it was, I'd be going that way to get the Glyndebourne bus. But this is my jewellery workshop box. So I'm going to go up to the workshop, which is underneath the castle. So I wonder if you'd like to come with me.
Yeah, we'd love to.
Great,
And
good.
how long have you been making jewellery here in
I
Lewes?
started making jewellery in 1991, and it started when, with the OAE, we were rehearsing in Morley College, and I heard all this sort of knocking and banging in the workshop next door. So I decided I'd like to make some. So I joined an evening class and then made for about 8 years. And then the orchestra got very, very busy and I sort of lost my interest for making. So I stopped. So I found this box in my garage during lockdown. So I started up again. So all the tools are in here. As you can see, it's all very compact. And I've got some up in the workshop, which you can also have a look at. So if you'd like to come up there in a minute, that'd be great.
Lovely. And before we head up, what's the first thing someone should do when they come to Lewes?
I think the first thing someone should do is go and see the castle.
Brilliant.
Because the workshop that I've got is underneath the castle. It's got lots of sort of tunnels and things which actually go underneath, very, very old, maybe even Roman, not quite sure. But I think if you go there, it's the sort of centre. You can go up onto the top and then look over the whole of the countryside. So that's what I'd recommend for someone who arrives in Lewes for the first time.
Lovely. Let's head up there.
Good. Let's go. And on the way, there's some lovely flower stalls and various shops as we go. And also, it's a very good meeting place here in the station because at this time of the year, everybody's arriving from Glyndebourne. So even today, I've met some people that I know quite well. Okay, so this is the hill that we've got to go up to get to the workshop. But I like this hill because it's got nice plants and flowers that hang out from the garden. So I really enjoy this. St. Martin's Lane.
Lovely. And so what's your first musical memory?
My first musical memory is when I was about 8 and I was walking past my headmaster's office and I heard some music, and the music I heard was coming from a recorder. So I can't remember how it came about to that, but I then asked my parents for recorder lessons. So that's how it started, really, with the Descant recorder, which I carried on for quite a bit longer, but long story. Then I went on to the violin, and then I went on to the viola, and I didn't actually end up on the flute until I was about 16. So within those 2 years after that, I worked very hard and got into music college. So yes, recorder was my first memory of music.
Lovely. And how did you get into Baroque flute?
When I left college, I was very lucky because I started to do a lot of extra work with lots of orchestras. But as you can imagine, if you're an extra player, you only ever really play down the line, fourth flute, fifth flute in big symphonies. I remember playing Wozzeck in Wales, fourth flute. Great. I mean, I was earning money, but I wasn't playing any tunes. So when I always liked Baroque music, hence starting on the recorder. So I then had lessons, first of all with Stephen Preston, and then I went to have lessons with Lisa. And Lisa and I have played in the OAE for 39 years.
Nearly as long as the OE has played.
I know, almost, yeah, almost.
And how many instruments do you have?
I've got about 12. I've got rid of some recently, but I have 12 that I sort of use most of the time, sort of swapping, changing for different passages in the orchestra. If something's difficult on one, it may be easier on another. So actually quite authentic to do that. But yes, about 12.
What was the first piece of music you became obsessed by?
I think the first piece I became obsessed by was not on the Baroque flute, but it was the Poulenc Flute Sonata. And I still love that piece. It's so, just so beautiful. And so I listened and listened and listened. And I think I drove my parents completely mad trying to play it in those days. But, and I have played it successfully since.
Other than your instrument, what 3 things do you always take with you to a rehearsal or a concert?
A pencil, but the thing is Lisa steals them. So I always have 2. I should add here a little extra thing I take is a cleaning stick and a rag, because Lisa always forgets that. So apart from that, I take another instrument and also a tuning machine, which is actually on my phone. So yeah, they're the 3. I think they're the 3 very important things for members of the OAE, because we play at such different pitches and sometimes on the same day. So it's vital to have something to measure your tuning, see whether you're in tune.
Yeah. Who is the most important music teacher you've ever had, and what did they teach you?
I think the most important music teacher I had was when I was at Trinity, and it was my flute professor, Harold Clark. I mean, I was about 19 when I went, well, 18, 19 when I went to music college, and he was then 65. But I had lessons with him for 3 years, and he was a wonderful man. Always played wooden flute, so there was this connection to the sort of old style of flute. And also, because he told me almost on my first day at music college, I didn't know what I was doing when I started. And that was just because of when he started. And he was principal flute at Covent Garden for a long time. And he used to keep saying to me, I don't know how I got by. I don't know how I did it, which is lovely, actually. And he just taught me so many tricks and gave me so many important lessons that I still remember today. So he was my most influential teacher.
Do you have any pre-show rituals or routines?
Yes, I always play some long notes on the flute, just quietly, just to make sure that everything's working, lips, flute, and yeah, I do sort of take deep breaths and sort of think about what I've got to play. I mean, it depends on what concert I'm doing, but if it's something I'm really worried about, yes, I just take deep breaths and sort of ground myself. I do the Alexander technique, so I think about that before I do play in a concert. Depends on what I've got to do. Sometimes I'm really, really focused. Other times I can be more relaxed.
Do you come from a musical family?
Not at all. There's absolutely no music in my family. As far as I know, never has been. So it was all really up to me to get on with it. And my parents were very proud of me, but nobody knows where it came from. So it was maybe lying dormant for years. Really don't know.
So that experience at school was really important?
It was, yes. It was, and that happened again with the violin. I heard a violin being played at school, and I just thought, this is lovely. But like I said, that didn't really work out. So yes, it's it's the flute that I ended up on. That's the workshop there, but so you can see what I mean, being under the castle.
Yeah. So the next question was, what's the most memorable performance or project you've been part of?
With OA
or anyone?
Yeah. Okay. I think the most memorable performance that I've been part of is actually when OA first went to Glyndebourne in 1989, and that was with Simon Rattle, and I just had a new flute made, a classical flute, which obviously I've used ever since, and that was the most memorable time. There was a lot of excitement because basically it was the first time that anybody had played an opera on early instruments, and we had Simon with us, and it was really memorable. It was a beautiful summer. I remember the weather was absolutely fantastic, and of course the first time at Glyndebourne, it was just in the old house. It was just amazing. So that's my most memorable performance. That first night, I remember the excitement really in that overture.
Fantastic. And what was the opera?
Figaro, Marriage of Figaro, which we're doing again this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing about being a professional musician?
I think the hardest thing about being a professional musician nowadays is the travel, because sometimes travelling very early, 6 o'clock check-in at Heathrow, sometimes even earlier, and then get to the hall or get to the hotel, the rooms aren't ready. So we've all got to scrabble for some lunch because we're all feeling absolutely dreadful, and then a rehearsal in the afternoon. And things can go wrong in the rehearsals. You know, it's not set up properly, and then the concert that evening. You know, it can sometimes be a very, very long day, and and unfortunately nowadays that is, you know, quite a regular occurrence because it's just trying to work these schedules. Yeah. With the halls, it really is hard work. So that's the most difficult thing. That sort of takes away the excitement, and you're basically running on reserves.
Yeah,
on a
and
day
I guess
like
as costs get
yes,
you know, there's less money to
yes, absolutely.
Everything gets squeezed even more.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's the best thing about it?
The best thing about it is, for me with OAE, is that I have I'm working with some people that I've worked with for nearly 40 years, and they're still there, and they're very good friends of mine, and will always be, and that's and making music with them really, and just chatting after concerts, going out for something to eat, going out for a drink. That's the best thing about playing in concerts. I just wish we didn't have to travel to get to them. And it sounds very nice to go to places, but you don't see any of it. So it's sometimes very frustrating, especially for me, because I like to go to galleries and museums because of my jewellery making. So I don't really get time to do that sometimes, and I just wish. I know that a very important gallery is there, but I can't get to it. So that's a bit of a pity sometimes. So before I take you to the workshop, I'd just like to show you what is actually above the workshop. It's where I've got my bench is sort of in there basically, and it's, well, you'll see it later, but it's a sort of tunnel that comes from this beautiful castle, the Lewes Castle, and it's just a perfect day to see it. As you can imagine, there are lots of nooks and crannies all around here, which have been formed by this castle, which is the sort of centre of Lewes, really. It's the old part. But you'll see when we go to the workshop, there's an amazing view up at the main tower. Hello. It's not smelling too bad yet. So yeah, so this is the upstairs workshop. So there's some benches up here, but I work downstairs. Follow me down, but before you can look at the lovely view of the castle. There we go. And that lovely courtyard behind. So it's a lovely private garden here. And there's some gorgeous flowers that come out at various times of the year. So this is where I work, down here. Hello. Hello. This is where I work, on this bench.
So the next question is, what's a phrase that you say too much?
What's the phrase that I say too much? I won't be long. I often get told off for saying, you said you weren't going to be very long. I mean, I am very good at timekeeping. I mean, I turn up to rehearsals bang on time. I think over the years there must have been 3 or 4 rehearsals, I mean many years, that I've been late for. Once completely forgot, but I'm a very good timekeeper, but I do get told off for saying, you said you weren't going to be very long. My mother says to me, you said you weren't going to be very long before you called me back. So yeah, that's what I think I get told off and I use a lot.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Both, actually. I'm all right in the morning and I'm okay in the evening. Yeah, I can function well in both.
What's been your favourite holiday, or what's your favourite holiday place to go on holiday? You've kind of already talked to us about that, haven't you? Yeah. What's
been my favourite holiday? Actually, I think my favourite holiday was Dresden this beginning of the year and last year. I've been there once before playing, but never with any time to look around, and it was absolutely beautiful. The weather was perfect. It was cold, but food lovely, very quiet. It was great. I really enjoyed it, and a lot of history in Dresden.
That segues neatly to our next question, which is very a Vivaldi related question. What's your favourite season?
I think summer. Summer's my favourite season. I just love the warmth, and really for the last, how many years now? Let me think. How long for Glyndebourne? I went there in 1989, and I've played there every year since, except 93 when the house was closed. I think I missed a few seasons, but I've been asked to play there and have played there ever since then, and that's why I love the summer, because there's no better place than being there in that wonderful setting. So yes, summer, right, for me.
Good. So, what's your favourite activity to do on a rainy day?
On a rainy day, I often sit down with my sketch pad and draw. I'm not a very good drawer, but I sit down and I think about designs for jewellery and actually do that, but just design something, and also clean out this jewellery box, which gets completely stuffed full of rubbish. So that's what I do as well.
What was your worst subject at school?
Maths was my worst subject. I remember once playing the flute in a speech day, and I played the Mozart Andante, which I still love, beautiful piece of music. And the next day, the maths teacher said to me, how can you play, or he shouted across the class, McLaren, how can you play so beautifully and be so useless at maths? And he's the one that gave me a report. I had 22% in one of the exams. I mean, I was completely useless, but I hated my maths teacher. And he said, what with daily conversation, which I didn't realise I did, what with daily conversation and something else, he got 22%. He should be ashamed of himself. And then the best bit, dash, 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 but he's not. And that was the best bit. I couldn't care less what he thought.
What's your top tip for surviving when you're away on tour?
Get food. Get some food. And also have some food stored up so that when you finish the concert, you may not feel like going out hunting for a restaurant, but that you can go back to your room and just eat a sandwich or something. That's what I normally do, because sometimes you're running around the towns and restaurants are closed and you're leaving at 6 in the morning or something. So I think it's good to have something in your room afterwards ready with a little bottle of wine or something. It's great. That's what I do.
There we are. What's the best coffee you've ever had? Or tea?
The best coffee I've ever had, I think, was in Montepulciano. About 10 years ago, went on holiday and had a cappuccino for breakfast, and it was the perfect temperature. Just everything about it was just perfect, and that was the best cup of coffee I ever had. It was just perfect for breakfast, which is what the cappuccino is made for.
Nice. Breakfast, speaking of, are you a full English, continental, or other?
Other. I don't eat very much in the morning. I sort of have a big mug of tea, maybe a little piece of fruit, but I have try to get something at about 11 o'clock, in an orchestra break. That's when I have something to eat, but I'm never very hungry first thing in the morning. So on tour, I sometimes go to breakfast, but actually make something and take it away. In the orchestra, we call it breakfast bandits. So we sort of, wrap it up and then put it into the, but that can then be survival for you when you're on a bus, to have, if you're not going to stop.
That is immensely strategic. Baroque or classical?
I think classical. Classical, yeah. Early classical.
What is your superhero ability? What's a thing you're really good at doing that no one else is, or that is valuable, gets you through life?
Planning. I'm quite good at planning. So things don't go wrong. With schedules, and I sort of plan things ahead so I know what's going to happen. But that says something about me, I think. But it's always good to know what's going to happen, and maybe that's being a musician for such a long time, because you don't quite know what's going to happen. So it's worth sort of planning to make sure that if it does, you've got something to fall back on.
Nice. And finally, can you tell us a joke?
Oh, I'm useless at jokes. Can I say no?
You can. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for coming down today. You can go out now to a lovely sunny Lewes. There you go. Okay. Bye. Have a safe journey. Bye. Bye. Bye.